Good evening, everyone. There we go, there we go. Welcome to the Library of Congress, or for those who were here earlier today, welcome back to the Library of Congress, to our special Live at the Library evening program where we throw open the doors and we welcome the public to enjoy our historic space, especially the main reading room, with a drink and a friend. My name is Anya Kreitney, and I have the distinct honor of helping champion the National Ambassador Program. Tonight is all about friendship, as our four creators who love books gather on stage for Storytime with Grownups. Our event features not one, but two national ambassadors for young people's literature, the newly minted ninth National Ambassador, Mac Barnett, and the first ever National Ambassador, John Scieszka. Joining them are two dynamic and ever-talented author-illustrators, Cece and Raúl III. You are likely here tonight because you're an adult who can recite your favorite picture book, or you are someone who misses the magic of stories read out loud. You're in luck because the authors here tonight believe that picture books are critical and give us opportunity to be thoughtful, playful, and even a little mischievous. Picture books do more than entertain. They are tangible, approachable works of art. They do something foundational. They force us to connect. Tonight, we invite you to consider this very idea, that picture books are collaborative both in their construction and in the way that they're shared. In a moment, Mac will share his thoughts on the value of picture book and his new platform, Behold, the Picture Book. Let's celebrate stories. We're going to be doing that a lot. Let's celebrate stories we can feel, hear, and see. But Mac, as we know, is a consummate collaborator who is dedicated to including fellow creators in his new mission. With that in mind, it is an honor to have three beloved creators with Mac on stage tonight. John Scieszka is the award-winning author of The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, The Stinky Cheese Man, and this is from him, 3,472 other books. He grew up as the second oldest of 6 boys, and he is the nicest of all of them. Just ask him, he says. Raúl III is a New York Times bestselling and 3 times Portobello Prix award-winning illustrator, author of Vamos series. His work centers around the contemporary Mexican-American experience and his memories of growing up in El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. Cece is the author and illustrator of the award-winning autobiographical graphic novel El Defo, which chronicles her child experiences with hearing loss. Her latest book, Animal Albums from A to Z, is a masterclass in everything a picture book can be. You'll get to hear more about that later in just a little bit. So we invite you to join us to learn about the surprising mechanics and the artistry of picture books. Enjoy some read-alouds, and I hope you're sampling our hot chocolate. We have blankets on the back, although it's rather warm, so use them sparingly. And if you get a chance, we're all going to remember the wonderful parts of childhood together. So without further ado, Mac Barnett.
That's right. I don't hear. Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Mac Barnett, and I am, as of this morning, officially your 9th National Ambassador for Young People's Literature. Thank you. Woo. As ambassador, it is my job to champion children's books and young people's literature in all its many forms, but especially picture books. I love picture books, and each ambassador is asked to choose a platform, a focus. Mine, as you heard, is called Behold, the Picture Book. And what I want to do is talk to kids about picture books, but especially I want to talk to adults about how picture books work, why they're so great. I believe that the picture book is a great literary form, that we should consider it alongside the novel, the short story, poetry, as an interesting way to tell a story, share an idea, describe the world. The picture book works unlike any other art form, and we're going to get into a little bit of that tonight just to show how picture books work. But just to let everybody know, because they're familiar, they're around us, we say this word all the time. What is a picture book? A picture book is usually about 32 pages long. Well, it's usually exactly 32 pages long. Sometimes 40, rarely more than 56. There are words and pictures that work together to tell the story, often on the same page, but sometimes picture books are wordless. It's important to remember that the picture book is a form, not a genre. You can do a lot of things with this art form. And it is an art form that is original to children's books. There are great children's novels. There's great children's poetry, great children's comics, but novels, poetry, comics, these all existed before children's books did. We invented the picture book, and we should be proud. And so I want to read you a book. That's my favorite thing to do. But before I do, I just want to say, like, the picture book is not just this object. It is also a performance. And it is a performance that we ask you, adults who know kids or might be stuck in front of an unruly group of them, to make. The picture book is not just the words and the pictures. It is also the adult, the grown-up, who is usually reading this book out loud and using their voice and their face to enhance the story. In that way, it's a lot like theater. It also takes aspects of dance. The human body is so important to picture book making. The angle at which you hold the book to your face and your body, the speed with which you turn the pages. These things change the story. In fact, each one of us would read a picture book a little differently. And if we had 5 different third grade classes come through here, the same one of us would read that book differently to each one of those 5 classes. The picture book is both this object, but it is also a performance that is made and remade again millions of times. With that said, I'm going to read you, I think, my favorite picture book that I have written. It is called The Wolf, the Duck, and the Mouse. The Wolf, the Duck, and the Mouse. Written by me. Illustrated by John Clausen. John's here tonight, by the way, so he feels very good about that. It wasn't him. Early one morning, a mouse met a wolf, and he was quickly gobbled up. "Oh, woe," said the mouse. "Oh, me, here I am, caught in the belly of the beast. I fear this is the end." "Be quiet," someone shouted. "I'm trying to sleep." The mouse shrieked, "Who's there?" A light was lit. A duck lay in bed. "Well," said the duck. "Oh," said the mouse. "Is that all?" asked the duck. "It's the middle of the night." The mouse looked around. "Well, out there it's morning." "It is?" said the duck. "It's so hard to tell. I do wish this belly had a window or two. In any case, breakfast." The meal was delicious. "Where did you get jam?" the mouse asked. "And a tablecloth." The duck munched a crust. "You'd be surprised what you find inside of a wolf." "It's nice," said the mouse. It's home. You live here? I live well. I may have been swallowed, but I have no intention of being eaten. For lunch, they made soup. The mouse cleared his throat. Do you miss the outside? I do not, said the duck. When I was outside, I was afraid every day wolves would swallow me up. In here, that's no worry. The duck had a point. Can I stay? The mouse asked. Of course, the duck said. This called for a dance. The ruckus inside made the wolf's stomach ache. Oh, woe, said the wolf. Oh, shame. Never have I felt such aching and pain. Surely it must have been something I ate. The duck shouted up, I have a cure. You do? Asked the wolf. Yes, an old remedy sure to settle your tummy. Eat a hunk of good cheese. And a flagon of wine. And some beeswax candles. That night they feasted. The duck made a toast to the health of the wolf. But the wolf felt worse. I feel like I'll burst. It hurts just to move. A hunter heard the wolf moan. He fired a shot, but missed in the dark. The duck called out, Run! Run for our lives! The wolf tried to escape, but he tripped and was trapped in an old oak tree's roots. Oh, woe, said the duck. Oh, doom, what can we do? I fear this is the end. The mouse stood up. We must fight. We must try. Tonight we ride to defend our home. Charge! Oh, woe, said the hunter. Oh, death! These woods are full of evil and wraiths. He fled from the forest and never returned. The wolf bowed down to the duck and the mouse. You saved my life, though I thought not to spare yours. Ask a favor of me. I will be glad to grant it. Well, you can guess what they asked for. And that's why the wolf howls at the moon. Oh, whoa! Oh, whoa! Every night, he howls at the moon. Oh, whoa! And that's the end of that story. Thank you so much. Now we have some time. I want to talk to some picture book makers. We're going to just clear the podium for a second, and I'm going to invite a few makers of picture books on stage. Thank you. Oh, yeah. A little transition music. We're not messing around. This is the Library of Congress. First, I want to invite up the author of the book that made me want to write children's books. The book is The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. And the author is John Scieszka. show the book. Hi, John. I asked them to do that.
Another one of your tricks.
Yep.
Wait, I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, you are back.
Okay, I'm
I
there,
think
I'm there.
I think you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Mac.
How are you?
Great.
Good. John, reading The Stinky Cheese Man to 4-year-olds is the reason I became a kids book author. I always knew I wanted to be an author, but
I think I'm all right. Oh, that's yours.
There we go. But I didn't know what kind of writing I wanted to do until I read this book. And it's a book that taught me how a picture book works. One of the things that's most important in a picture book is the page turn. There are many words on a page or 2 pages, which is called a spread of a picture book, so you end up turning the pages a lot. And the pace you set up with the words and the pictures to sort of dictate how fast that book moves really determines the feeling of both reading it out loud, but especially for the kid of experiencing the story. Every page turn you can surprise, you can set up an expectation and amplify it, you can jump forward or backward in time. Infinity is contained in each page turn, and if a book is getting boring, you get everybody back when you start to turn the page.
Yeah, it's a nice fresh start.
Yeah. So would you read to us one of the stories from The Stinky Cheese Man?
Well, yeah, actually, I got a great page turner in here. Oh, and not to contradict our newest ambassador, but this book is a weird 54 pages.
54?
Oh, wait, I think it's 52. It's 48.
Are you sure it's not
plus 4 more.
56?
No, it's not.
Four
even
more?
56. We decided to break every rule. I should also say, like, I loved meeting Mac because when I ran into him, we discovered I think we're probably the only 2 children's books writers who thought that Lawrence Stern's Tristram Shandy was just the funniest book ever. Most people don't even know the book, and Mac and I are like, that book is hysterical. And that's where I stole many of my jokes to put in here. He had that narrative that just wound around. There was empty pages. There were pages that were censored, like, this is too much for you. You can't watch this. I don't think he had a title page, though.
No. It took you to come up with that one.
Yeah, that took me. The other thing about the movement of the book, it's interesting. As I thought about your great collaborator, John Clausen, it was like Lane Smith. They're both animators, and their brains think that way. There's movement, and there's an establishing shot, and then there's a zoom, then there's a detail, then there's action, then there's it just moves like that. And I was lucky enough, like Mac, to work with Lane, which publishers hate. They don't want that. But we told it, well, usually we just tell them we wouldn't, and then I would go over to Lane's studio and play ping pong. And the other person who worked on this book was Molly Leach, Lane's wife, who designed the book, because that was really essential of how the type went. Lane and I would come up with what we thought was a funny joke, like having the type run off the page, and then Molly said, "That's stupid. It could get smaller. How about that?" It's like, "Oh, that's good." Okay, back to ping pong, Lane. Well, let me read you one of my favorite stories. I should also tell you a lot of my writing comes from having taught elementary school. 2nd grade was my favorite grade because they were just beginning to be readers and either have a sense of humor or they were never going to have a sense of humor. I mean, nobody wants to say that awful truth, but you knew by 2nd grade, you're that guy. Or you probably didn't know, but all your friends know. And that's a little background on this story, The Really Ugly Duckling. The Really Ugly Duckling, by me, John Scieszka. Thanks, Mac. We had to know when to get in. Once upon a time, there was a mother duck and a father duck who had 7 baby ducklings. 6 of them were regular-looking ducklings. The 7th was a really ugly duckling. What a nice-looking bunch of ducklings, everyone used to say. All except that one. Man, he's really ugly. Now, the really ugly duckling heard these people, but he didn't care. He knew that one day he would grow up to be a swan, and he would be bigger and look better than anyone in the whole pond. Well, as it turned out, he was just a really ugly duckling. And he grew up to be just a really ugly duck. The end. That was dedicated to little Justin in my 2nd grade, my first year. And I love the details that Lane did, where he collaged all these ducks from a wildlife magazine that are exactly the same on both pages. And the duckling that grows up has the same pimples on his belly, they're just bigger. Even the drool on his beak just gets bigger. And kids were just like flabbergasted. Though the only problem is I read this early on to my son's kindergarten when he was in kindergarten. And this is a little beyond kindergartners. They're also kind of little fascists in some ways. Because there was one little girl in the front the whole time I was reading, she was just going, no, no, no. She finally just blurted out like, that's not the way it goes. I never got to go visit Jake's class ever again. He was just mortified. He knew something like that was going to happen. But that really is the art of the picture book. Of like, it's that moment Mac talked about. You have this opportunity to set this thing up. And it's so great to turn the page and see him just giant. It's so good. Or the other one is the ugly duckling. The table of contents ends up falling and squashing everybody. Another one of Mac and my favorites is all the metafiction writers of like the 90s and the aughts. Like we loved Thomas Pynchon, Barth, Coover, like all these guys who were messing with the form of fiction. And Mac and I would tell this once Mac got on stage. That's when I first met Mac. I said, you have to get in this business. I'm the lone guy up there saying like, well, my favorites are like Thomas Pynchon. And you hear crickets. It's like, or awkward laughs of like when I would say, Tristram Shandy is my favorite book. So I go, ha ha. Like, no, really, because he did this before. And we're doing it now in the art of the picture book.
Hey.
Behold.
Hello.
Thank you.
There's also, if we go to the really ugly duckling story, one of the magic things about that, I find that your first, like this one where you're set up, it has so much text, right? More text than you would normally see on one picture book page. But it actually, pacing-wise, it doesn't bog it down. The whole thing is clearly building up to something. It's winding up. And the experience of that is actually very quick. And if you put a lot of text next to this next spread, which just has 2 sentences, really large, you say less, but the page actually takes longer when you experience it.
And this was actually a milder version of what Molly wanted, was to have these things gigantic. She wanted to have the letters so big they went off the page. The production people just shit a brick, I believe is the technical term. They wouldn't let her do it. They just said, no, you might lose some of it. She said, yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that have been spectacular? Like even better. I have regrets.
All right, let's bring up.
But I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, wait. What is happening? Oh, no.
I forgot to tell Mac. I guess Carla didn't tell you either, right? Taylor, did you hear anything from Carla about? You have to wear this every day. It's required. Yeah. Oh boy, yeah. There's a special handbook now for the wives of ambassadors, partners of ambassadors, because it gets really obnoxious, like within like 3 days. TSA is also a problem. So good luck, Mr. Barnett.
Thank you, everybody. John Scieszka. Come on. Hey, come on, man. No, stay there. Stay there. We're doing it.
We got more people?
Raúl the Third, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, good to see you.
All right, Raúl.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Very well. I believe I have to figure out how to turn this on.
Behold.
This. Here we go.
Oh, is that the what I'm
Yeah.
doing? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure. Raúl, you've got something to show us, right?
I have a few slides to share with you tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. If they turn on.
Is it not directed?
I can read more stories from my book.
Raúl.
Technology is invulnerable.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Not the backup clicker.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Raúl, tell us about this.
All right. So, a few years ago, I started to create my world of Vamos books. I grew up in the old West Texas town of El Paso. How many of you have ever heard that song before? Yeah, pretty cool song. Sung by the great polyester suit-wearing cowboy named Marty Robbins. I loved growing up in El Paso. I grew up in 2 cities, El Paso and Juarez, which is in Mexico. Anyway, I really wanted to set a cartoon universe in that part of the world. And so in order to do that, I had to start by creating a gang, some characters. And let me tell you a little bit about them. You see the guy on top of the mailbox? That's little Lobo. The dog is Bernabe. Bernabe was actually my dog when I was a little kid growing up. There's the world's cutest cockroach. His name is Cocorocho. And then I knew that I wanted a rooster to be in this series. You see, my grandma always had roosters in the backyard when I was a kid, out in the part of Texas that she lived in. She lived in Isleta. I always wondered, though, why the roosters were always changing in her yard. Later found out my Uncle Charlie had plans for these roosters. Anyway, anytime I would visit my abuelita, hold on. I was having a hard time figuring out what to name my rooster until I remembered whenever I would visit my abuelita Catalina, she would ask me, Oye, mijo, ¿qué dicen los gallos? And I would say, no sé, abuelita, ¿qué dicen los gallos? My grandma would ask, I'm going to translate now, what do roosters say? And I would say, I don't know, abuelita, what do they say? And so my abuelita would answer, los gallos dicen, cookie dookie. And I said, so as I was struggling to figure out what to name my rooster, I remembered what my abuelita said. And so what did I name my rooster? Cookie dookie. That's right, cookie dookie. So, when I was a kid, I was really overwhelmed in a good way by everything that was happening around me. So I wanted to really figure out a way to draw all of the cool stuff that I saw on my walk from El Paso, cruzando el puente, to get to Juarez, where my mom worked at the Mercado Cuauhtémoc. This is one of the spreads from my book.
Raúl, can I ask you, so
Yes,
like,
of
in a
course.
picture book, it's words and pictures telling the story
That's right.
together, right? So you've got words here that are kind of telling a story.
Yes.
But here in this balance, if you want to spend a time on this page, you are telling a ton of other stories in the pictures, right?
That is correct, yeah.
And I feel like when you are reading a picture book out loud, the words kind of belong to the adult. We are reading these out loud. The pictures belong to the kids.
They do.
They're reading the pictures, and they are so much better at seeing small details that adults miss.
They are. And I really wanted to create a picture book for all of the kids who grew up in the part of the world that I grew up in. I wanted to draw a series of books where the parents and the grandparents would be reminded of things from their own lives so that they could open up and share these things with their kids. For instance, let me zoom in. I can't read any of the text from way back here. Let me show you some of the details that I throw in there that are what you would call Easter eggs. So let me ask, who here is from Texas? Did you say me? Yes, I am. Oh, okay. I thought you were pointing at me. Okay, so
Yep.
anyone who lives in Texas, they know where to go to get a burger. Now, looking at this picture, where am I pointing? Where is the UFO getting their burgers?
Whataburger.
That's right. That's right. So there's a Whataburger there for you. Where are we not getting our tacos? Taco Bell. That's right. So these books are just filled with that kind of information. Even I go so far as to include some of the people that influenced my art as I was a kid growing up in the border town of El Paso. For instance, one day I entered the art museum in El Paso, the one art museum, the one that had a collection of two-headed rattlesnakes and a few arrowheads, when suddenly I saw on the wall what appeared to be my uncle. And I said, ¿Qué pasa? That's my uncle on the wall. But in fact, it wasn't. They were realistic portraits painted by a man whose portraits are actually hanging somewhere in the portrait gallery at the museum, an artist known by the name of Gaspar, who I wrote on the wall there. The historian Leon Metz taught us a lot about our hometown as well. And so as you can see, all of these little details are there for my reader to find, including a mural of Selena, a building with the title Amor Eterno. Who sung that? Who sung that song? Rocío Dúrcal, written by you guys don't know? Juan Gabriel. So those are the types of images that I love to create when I'm writing these books. This is from my picture book, Vamos, Let's Cross the Bridge. My editor asked me, Raúl, would you be interested in creating a book about vehicles? And I was like, I don't know. Drawing cars is so hard, until I remembered every day on Christmas or on some holiday, we would cross the bridge, and always, it didn't matter, we would get stuck on that bridge for hours. And I thought, here's a wonderful opportunity to share how a lot of us living in the border town of El Paso and Juarez have to go back and forth by car, by foot, or in the case of La Chida, by skateboard. And so every day, to go with my mom so she could go work at the mercado, me and my brothers, that's me, hermano numero uno, my brother Danny, my brother Ruben, who had nobody's hand to hold, so he would pull along a little bumblebee whose wings would flap as it rolled up and down the bridge. We would go back and forth to Juarez and back to El Paso. So,
Raúl, can I ask you,
Yes.
those last two, you paneled those out, right? That's sort of some of the grammar of comics, and you're also a comics artist.
that's right.
Comics have some similarities to picture books, but they're different too. Like, what do you think the relationship between them is? How are you thinking differently when you're making a picture book?
Well, I think you've already described it so well, where a picture book is all about that page turn. You're building up to something, and then you're turning the page. Well, within a spread like this, I'm thinking about the cut from action to action by drawing in some comic book panels. And that little gutter space is the perfect opportunity to change the setting or introduce a new character or a new movement or action.
The gutter space is that place in the middle where the book is bound, right? And it is sort of the boundary. Is that what you mean? Or are you talking about the gutter space in between the panel? Oh, right there.
The gutter space in between.
So you made another gutter.
Yeah, in between, the gutter space in between the panels.
Yeah.
Those would be what I mean.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a little picture book spread within
a picture book spread, exactly. So there's like 4 pages there as opposed to just the 2. Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's hear it for Raúl the Third.
Yeah. Let me cue in. There we go.
All right, we have one more guest to welcome to the stage, Cece Bell.
Is this working?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Cece. You wrote an ABC book.
I did.
This is really one of the oldest forms of children's books. And I think the picture book is a relatively young form. Like, a picture book as we know it, I think is just about 100 years old. But there have always been illustrated books with words and pictures together from the invention of printing. And some of the earliest books for children were ABC books.
Right.
You've made an ABC picture book.
I made an ABC book.
And you have done something completely new with it, with this, one of the oldest ways to make a book for kids.
That's high praise, Mac. But first, we get to see Raúl's work again. Oh, no, we don't. I thought we were going to cruise through your work one more time.
I set it up for you. Yeah.
You kind man. Okay, so I made a book called Animal Albums from A to Z. And I always knew I wanted to do an alphabet book, but I never quite knew what it would be. And I was just drawing squares one day in my little sketchbook, and I thought, oh, wait, album covers are squares. And that was basically where it came from. But another reason that it came to me was that probably most of you here know that I have hearing loss. I'm a deaf person, and I did a graphic novel called El Defo about that experience. And when I went to schools and talked to kids about deafness, a lot of them wondered about music. And a lot of adults wondered about music. What do you hear? Can you hear it? And often that would be followed by, if I couldn't hear music, I would kill myself. I'm like, great. I'm your walking nightmare. Thank you very much. But the truth is, and we'll get back to hearing about music, but there are lots of ways to experience music. And hearing is just one of them, and it's a very, they're visual ways, the album cover being one of the main ways for people to see music in a way. There's the instruments themselves have shapes, they're cool looking. There's my very favorite, MTV, which in 1981 came along when I was about 10 years old and changed my experience with music forever, because before MTV, all the kids were listening on the radio, and radio just, I couldn't grok the radio. But MTV comes along, and suddenly there's this visual language that goes with the music, and I could show up at school and be like, yeah, Prince, did you see those pants that you were wearing, you know? So I was able to connect to people in that way. But the truth is, I can hear music because I wear hearing aids, and hearing aids work. And they're not perfect, and it's all kind of relative. It's not as good as a hearing person can hear music. But I have very strong opinions about music. For example, I refuse to see the Bob Dylan biopic. If that tells you anything. If it was a Paul McCartney biopic, first in line. But so lots of opinions. But one of the things I wanted to do with the book was I sort of realized that a lot of kids don't know what a record player is anymore. They don't know what an album cover is anymore. And this book, in a way, I was hoping that maybe adults, parents and grandparents would not only share the book with their kids, but be like, hey, we have a record player in our attic, and let me show you how it works. And but what I was trying to do was basically create album covers for every genre of music I could think of from A to Z, with the appropriate animal type, the type of music, the instrument, and then I got to have a lot of fun with the words, with song titles, alliteration, all that good stuff. And from every album cover, a song got pulled out. And in the book, they look more like poems, and when you read them, they're poems, but if you were to add music, they become songs. And eventually, while I was working on this, I felt like, well, this is about music. We do need songs, we do need music. And so I ended up working with a bunch of friends from high school who had been in the marching band with me. I played tenor saxophone, and they helped me compose music. So while I was working on the poems, I was actually writing them, thinking about how they would be sung, and would actually send terrible little sound recordings of myself singing to give the composers an idea of what I was thinking in terms of syllables and all that. But sometimes they used it and sometimes they didn't. So just A through E. This is classical, and this is John Scieszka's favorite, the clams. Clams. Disco for D with the dodos, and then the letter E. Easy listening with but that is an example of some of that. Yeah.
Will you read to us a little bit?
I will. I have my book. So you can see, we have a little treat for you after this, but I will read a little bit of the E, or maybe the whole thing. This is called An Enchanted Elbow. Okay. Wherever I go, you go too. I really do appreciate that about you. Humorous, radius, owner, ooh. These are the pretty bones that make you you. I won't take you for granted, 'cause I'm so enchanted by you, you, you. You're such a wonderful elbow. You're so synovial, oh, so jovial. Bending for me in the moonlight, flexing for me in the starlight, sweet little elbow of mine. Whatever I do, you help too. And funny how even though I have two of you, only one of you sees me through. Ooh, ooh. This is the reason that I love you. I won't take you for granted, 'cause I'm so enchanted by you, you, you. Flexibility, you've got it. Durability, you know it. You flex for me everywhere I go. You bend for me, and I know it so. You're the sweetest little elbow of mine. Funny little elbow of mine. Most enchanted elbow of mine. It's a love song. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, it's a love song.
It is a love song.
or a love poem. When it's read, it's a poem.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, what you describe as your multiple ways into music, like that is what you're asking readers to do here, right? If a reader doesn't know the tune that this song would be sung to, or doesn't even know what easy listening is, which a kid might not, the picture is going to teach you the vibe, right? The album cover is there to tell you what this poem would sound like, or at least kind of feel like as a song. But you actually did make some songs for some of these too, right?
Yes. So in honor of MTV, I ended up making a few music videos, and I made a music video for this, and you'll notice that if you remember MTV, in the left-hand side, they would have the name of the song and the artist and the label. So I made sure to be true to that. And so this is, hopefully it'll work, this is an Enchanted Elbow with, composed by a good friend of mine, Sarah O'Brien, and then arranged by another friend of mine, Edgar Crockett, and they were both in the marching band with me. Okay, so hopefully it works. Oop, I messed it up. Oh no, go back. Okay, go back. Okay.
Wherever I go, you go too. I really do appreciate that about you. Humorous, radius, oh nah, ooh. These are the pretty bones that make you you. I won't take you for granted, 'cause I'm so enchanted by you. You. You're such a wonderful elbow. You're so synovial, oh so jovial, bending for me in the moonlight, flexing for me in the starlight. Sweet little elbow of mine. Whatever I do, you help too. And funny how even though I have two of you, only one of you sees me through. Ooh, this is the reason that I love you. I won't take you for granted, 'cause I'm so enchanted by you. You. You're such a wonderful elbow. You're so synovial, oh so jovial, bending for me in the moonlight, flexing for me in the starlight. Sweet little elbow of mine. Flexibility, you've got it. Durability, you know it. You flex for me everywhere I go. You bend for me and I know it's so. You're the sweetest little elbow of mine. Funny little elbow of mine. Most enchanted elbow of mine.
All right. This is gonna. All right. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
I have to say,
Okay.
All right. This, like, that gave me a question for everybody. The word synovial in there, right? Or even jovial, durability. You focus on these words, but there are words in there that I think many people would expect picture book readers not to know.
Right.
John, that's true for you. Raúl, you write books that have English and Spanish together. I find that there are a lot of adults, like, people got so mad when the word wraiths was in The Wolf, the Duck, and the Mouse, because how do you expect a kid to know that? Like, do you worry about that? Do you worry about kids not knowing the word synovial in your book?
I don't at
Me
all.
neither. I don't care.
I mean, no.
I don't care.
No, I mean, kids are really smart. They're figuring it out, and then they have, most likely a grown-up telling them the flexibility means this is what you're doing with your elbow, No, I don't.
So what you're saying is this might be an opportunity to learn a new word that we didn't know.
What? That's crazy.
I think that
Mac and I, we talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
And did a bunch of presentations together forever and realized, like, if you go too slow and kids understand everything, everyone's asleep. And Mac and I love to, like, challenge that kid or reward those kids who might know jovial and then look up synovial. It's such a good opportunity.
In the case of my books, there's always a kid in the class who does know the word in Spanish and who does know how to pronounce it, and all of the other kids will rush to that kid and say, how do you say this? What does it mean? And boy, oh boy, does that kid feel so proud of themselves when they could answer, Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that, like, we can really flatter ourselves as adults and think that children's literature, especially picture books, should work differently than other books. But, like, when we read novels or a poem or an article, we're always coming in contact with words and concepts that we don't know, right? And we have a choice. We can look that word up, we can try to figure it out from context, or we can just ignore it and move on and keep enjoying the story. And there may be even ways to enjoy sort of the beauty or the complexity or the sound of that word in that context. We got to give kids the same right to experience language that way when they're reading picture books.
Well, there's that other great option, though, just to pretend you knew it.
Oh, that's a good one.
My 7-year-old granddaughter has now mastered that. She knows everything. Which reminds me of myself and pronunciation when you think you're like hot shit as a little kid. And you're just like, I thought it was Yosemite Park forever. Because I never said that out loud. It took me years. Like last year I found out. A little slow on the uptake, but...
So he was always Yosemite Sam for you?
No, I didn't put the two together. I said, what the hell does that guy mean? That's exactly what I had no connection. It was so bad.
That's so funny because that's basically the exact experience I had with your last name, John.
Well, if you spoke Polish, it's easy. It's like
And this is my mom's maiden name is Wierzbowski. This is I'm being a bad Polish boy for this.
Yeah.
But when I would read John's book out loud to kids, I would just say The Stinky Cheese Man by John and Lane Smith.
Well, that was my entire school experience.
Yeah. But then when my friend Kate Sherwood was like, I said, I love this book called The Stinky Cheese Man. And my friend Kate was like, Casey's dad wrote that book. And I was like, Casey Scieszka? And Kate was like, yeah, how many Scieszkas are there? Yeah. I was like, I did not know it was Scieszka. I did not know it was Scieszka.
And I think it was longer than you remembered. I think it went for years.
I think that's true.
You knew her.
Yeah.
It was Casey.
Oh, it was.
Or
yeah.
you just called her Scieszka,
Scieszka,
right?
Yeah, it's true. That was a cul-de-sac.
That's confessional. Wow.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Raúl, you have the vehicles in there. Like, I thought so much about the Busy Town books. Maybe also because my son Rafe is just all into Busy Town.
Busy Town. You like Busy Town?
Yeah. But I think that, like, why those books work to me is actually, I think, like, Busy Town gets this reputation. These are books by Richard Scarry with animals driving around in cars and having this little tidy world. And I think people think about them as utopic, but actually they're so chaotic. There's so much going on the page, and like people are robbing banks, and flower pots are falling on people's heads, and laundromats are flooding, and it is a place where things are constantly going wrong, and it is that density and the number of stories told that make it work. And I think that, like, that is what's so fun about your dense spreads is, like, you can just find so many stories on those pages.
I have had such a fun time. A lot of the characters have just kind of developed themselves on the page for me because of how they react to what's happening around them. Like suddenly you have Malburro and Piqui Pequeño, who I had just walking around with a broom and a dustpan. And then I realized they are always cleaning things but messing things up as they go along. And so you have Malburro trying to sweep up exhaust fumes into a dustpan, or you have El Toro, the luchador, searching for a new mask. So in every spread, you see him walking around with a paper bag on his head, or hiding behind a box, or because he doesn't want to reveal his, his identity. But I like to call them simultaneous happenings, because every day, no matter where you go, everybody's living their own lives, and there's so much happening. And how can I find a way to capture that in a still image?
Yeah, and that what you're doing there, what you said, is character development, which is normally in a novel that would be done in language, right? Yeah. But you're having entire arcs for characters, entire personality traits that are only apparent in the words.
And you only notice it if you go back to study all of the little things that are happening in the background,
Yeah, and I think this is actually a reason that novelists very often write terrible picture books.
Because they'll try to write it.
Yeah. That's any writer. And when people send me manuscripts, I say, I don't even have to look at it. I can say, cut half of it, quit describing things. Because it's all the mistakes I made when I started, like handing in a manuscript that was 50 pages, double spaced, typed, written for a picture book. I got a lot of rejections.
Can we circle back to Busy Town real quick?
Yeah.
I think Busy Town was the first time I remember seeing absurdist humor, because if you remember, the pigs are eating a giant hot dog. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, they're eating themselves. And I was very excited about that. And, but yeah, I just needed to put that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you impressed by that? Or were you impressed by the fact that they were eating themselves?
Or were
you terrified?
Yeah, I was just really pleased that there was this man who was making these books, who was drawing and wondering. And I remember being really little and thinking, does he know? Does he know that the pigs, that the hot dogs are made out of pigs? Does he know? And then being really excited to realize, I think he does know. Yeah, and he's doing this for me,
Yeah, there's that meme. There's that meme that goes around Twitter that's like, my therapist. What were you really expecting life to be like? And then it says me, and it's an image of tidy, busy town. And I think again, it's the way we sand the edges. You're like, this is not a utopia. This is a place where they eat themselves.
Yeah. Like, how did they make the hot dog?
Read the book again.
Yeah.
Kids know, but the kids know. The kids know.
I had the counting book, and I was wondering, how many pigs did it take to make the hot dog? Who was doing what to whom?
Pig,
all right, we have some time for audience questions right now. So if somebody has a question they want to ask, raise your hand, and we have some roving mics.
But it's got to be a real philosophical question, right, about picture books?
Yeah.
Not about just eating people.
No.
Things like that.
Mac, will you do me a favor and repeat?
Yeah, we're going to take some questions right
now. Yeah, but will you repeat the question?
The question, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
We did it.
Oh, wait.
We changed their minds.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, it's literature. We get it.
Wait, there's a question.
Hi, my name is Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here tonight. My question for you is, what has been a moment in your craft where you realized you reached a new level of mastery, like a level of storytelling that you felt, okay, I've really got this?
I got that. Okay. Yeah, okay, thanks. Am I going first? Yes. No, Raúl, you go first.
Oh, I'm always, after I finish a book, I'm like, this is what I always tell myself. The next one, I promise you, the next one will be better. Because I really do hope that the next one I make will be better than the one before. So I'm not sure if I'm ever going to reach that level.
I think the alphabet book that I just was the first time I said to myself, I'm going to make a beautiful book. Because every other book before then has been, the pictures are in service to the story. And with an alphabet book, I didn't feel reined in by that as much. But I feel the same way. If every new book feels like you're starting over and you're trying to outdo yourself past you in a way. Yeah.
Oh, and I think I've reached mastery at the beginning of every book. Like before anything is written. It is like the most brilliant thing ever. I've done this since first grade. Just thought, this is great. I haven't even written it yet, but it's so good. And then the reality sets in. It's a real slope from there. Compromises, shit goes wrong. You can't make the letters as big as you want. And then I'm like, Raúl, the next one's gonna be way better.
I love that question. I don't have that kind of consciousness of like what I'm making when I write. I'm so in it. I'm trying to think of like a time that I really was like, oh, this is it. This is a new trick. And it was my first book, the first manuscript I ever wrote for a picture book. I sent it to John Scieszka to take a look at because he inspired me to write picture books. And he wrote me back an email that was so nice. He was like, I love it. The one thing that I would tell you to do is to go and find all your description and take it out because the pictures can do that. And I thought, what amazing personal advice tailored to my manuscript and my needs. And I just learned tonight, he just says that to everybody.
But no, you were first, Mac.
Okay, yeah.
And really the best.
Yeah.
Hi. So to build on that, what is the process for writing a picture book? Do you just put out the limited words and then put pictures with it, or do you have sketches along the way? How do you make it all happen?
Who wants to take it?
I'll start with that's tricky. Well, it's different too. For me, I'm all writer. I have very limited visual imagination. Though when I see stuff, I know what I like, which I think is very annoying for illustrators.
You'd rather just be playing ping pong, sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Ping pong's way better. But I always start with what the story is going to be allowed. And Mac talked about this morning. We're part of the oral tradition, like just hanging on still. We get a chance to tell stories without seeming too creepy, and you're not that guy at that party. But then when you get it on paper, you have to consciously do those things, like take out the description, leave room, and then hand it to an illustrator who you trust will find those spots to make the page turns.
Yeah, if you don't write and illustrate your own stuff, then I always talk about like writing a picture book manuscript is finishing an unfinished thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create an architecture for pictures to come in and do a lot of the work, give a lot of opportunities to the illustrator, but leave lots of gaps. And sometimes if it's necessary that like there would be a little description of the art to know what's happening in the story, I'll include that. But I try certainly not to over-direct illustrators, and really not to direct at all. If I'm working on a book with John Clausen, for instance, we've worked together a ton. I think he understands what I'm doing. I give him no description whatsoever now, because he knows what I'm up to. But I want to leave lots of spaces for him to come in and do whatever he wants to do, to take the suggestions or offers that I'm making and to interpret them or to play with them or to ignore them. And so you're trying to leave a lot of empty space. But like even when I'm done and when John's done, the story's still not done, right? Because we still need somebody to read this story out loud. And when you read a picture book out loud, you're making a new artwork. You're deciding what these characters sound like. You're deciding how fast these page turns happen. You are putting a page turn maybe a place where John didn't put one, or you are cutting a sentence that I spent 4 weeks writing. And that's all fine. You get to do that because this reading is yours. But even when I'm done and the illustrator's done and you are done, there should still be empty space in the story for a kid to get into and figure out what the story means and make the story their own. So I think that letting your piece be interpreted and reinterpreted over and over again and being okay with that, that's so essential to picture book writing. There's always a red flag when I hear somebody say like, oh, Cece Bell is illustrating my story. And it's like, the story is not yours. If you're a picture book writer, the story should not even exist when you're done. The story is what happens when we all come together to present this thing to a kid.
Boy, that's such a great moment, too, when you get surprised by the illustrator. Because Lane had probably 10 different kinds of Stinky Cheese Man. One had a little wedge head, of course, which I never thought of. And I didn't think, oh, yeah, of course, I guess there's other ways to do it. And then he just settled on that big, giant wheel with the wedge taken out. It was just brilliant. And now I can't think of it any other way, but I would not have thought of that.
All right, we have time for one more question.
These days, we hear a lot about book bans and anti-diversity stuff. How is this impacting your work and the industry as a whole?
It honestly has not really impacted my work directly. I mean, there's so little, my work is like so gonzo and goofy, and I haven't really, there isn't anything in there so far that, I mean, maybe it's like under the radar. And there have been a few things in El Defo that have, like I was asked to not do a presentation a certain way because there's a part in the book where my character, or the friend of the kid that represented me, says, you know, look down your shirt and spell attic, you know, and A-T-T-I-C, woo. So the principal's kid loved that part of the book, and so the principal knew about it and said, well, I don't want you to present this in the presentation because, you know, you're going to cause trouble. So I presented that in the presentation because it's funny, and everybody needs to know that. But I think that's wrong, you know. But there have been so many other. I'm not usually writing about the themes that are getting banned, and so that has not really impacted me as much.
No, it hasn't impacted me much either. But I know that it is very painful that a lot of our public programs, our audience members are afraid to come and be a part of the community because of how outside forces might treat them. But as for those of us who are writing books, I say we just continue to do what we feel, what we believe in, and what we feel strongly about. I will continue for as long as I live to continue to celebrate, you know, the part of the culture that I am. Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, and this is definitely the wrong crowd to be asking. Like, I think we're traditionally the kids in the class who, if you told them not to do something, would do that. Because when I got to be ambassador, it was when Laura Bush was around, and she brought her husband along to the event, and they asked me to please not read a couple chapters from my memoir, Knucklehead. I love to call it a memoir, by the way, also. There's one where we all throw up on each other. They didn't think that was appropriate. The other one that they thought was really terrible is where we all pee on my brother Greg. Because he was littler and had to stand closer, and we all went at the same time. So I said, yeah, fine, I won't read that. So I just told it. And President Bush loved it. He's got brothers. So I think it's our duty to do that, right?
Did he throw a shoe at your head or something?
No, I was ready though.
I think that kids, children's literature is made by adults, sold to editors who are adults, marketed by adults, mostly to other adults. It's reviewed by adults. Those reviews are read by adults. There are so many adults in between the book and the kid. And what I try to do when I write, and I think what good kids writers try to do, is they write for the kid. We're not handing something down from the world of adults. We're trying to get a direct line to our own childhood or to kids that we know, we see, and that we listen to, and make stories that matter to them and that reflect their lives. And there are a lot of adults, including adults in this business and some outside this business, who have a different view of children's literature. And this has been from the beginning too, which is to kind of hand down dictates from adulthood, to teach kids how to become adults, and to kind of impose a lesson or a moral onto the reader, onto the kid. And this has been intention since the beginning of children's literature. And I'm frustrated whenever I see gatekeepers getting in the way of sincere, excellent artwork that's made for kids. It's really tough. And for me personally, and this is like a lot of people believe that the only point of children's literature is to teach lessons, and often to teach moral lessons. That's always been a strain of it, but really a children's book, like the subject of a children's book is life itself, right? And children's books should be as varied in approach as literature for adults. There's actually, there's a book, can I grab this? One of my heroes, the clicker, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One of my heroes is the author and illustrator Maurice Sendak. Yeah. And he wrote a series called The Nutshell Library. The books are all about this big. And it is his take on 4 classic children's books. Here's one. This is how big the books are. They come in a little slipcase of 4 books. And it's his take on 4 sort of fundamental approaches to children's literature. So he has an ABC book, a months of the year book, a counting book, and Pierre, a cautionary tale. This is the only time Maurice Sendak ever wrote a book with a moral, an explicit moral. And he's a guy who hated telling kids what to do. So how does he solve this problem? How does Maurice Sendak write a cautionary tale? One of the things I love about kids' books is the way that they, at their best, kind of intersect with other forms of culture. And the book Pierre was actually adapted into a song arranged by Carole King. And before we go, and you guys don't have to stand here and get stared at while Sean and I sing, if you want to leave, and we can welcome up Sean Harris. This is Caldecott honoree Sean Harris. Sean and I have been friends since we were 6 years old. That's a picture of us right there on the Castro Valley Thunderbolts. I don't know if there are any Castro Valley Thunderbolts fans here. More Thunderbolts fans than Texans. And we thought we would sing Carole King's song with words by Maurice Sendak from the picture book he wrote called Pierre. The only time Maurice Sendak told kids, and all of us, what to do.
once was a boy named Pierre, who only would say, I don't care. Read his story, my friend, and you'll find at the end that a suitable moral lies there. One day his mother said when Pierre climbed out of bed, good morning, darling boy, you are my only joy. Pierre said, I don't care. What would you like to eat? I don't care. Some lovely cream of wheat. I don't care. Don't sit backwards on your chair. I don't care. Or pour syrup on your hair. I don't care. You are acting like a clown. I don't care. And we have to go downtown. I don't care. Don't you want to come, my dear? I don't care. Would you like to stay right here? I don't care. So his mother left him there. His father said, get off your head, or I will march you up to bed. Pierre said, I don't care. I would think that you could see. I don't care. Your head is where your feet should be. I don't care. If you keep standing upside down. I don't care. We'll never ever get to town. I don't care. If only you would say, I care. I don't care. I'd let you fold the folding chair. I don't care. Okay. So his parents left him there. They didn't take him anywhere. Now as the night began to fall, a hungry lion came to call. He looked Pierre right in the eye and asked him if he'd like to die. And Pierre said, I don't care. I can eat you, can't you see? I don't care. Then you will be inside of me. I don't care. And you'll never have to bother. I don't care. With a mother or a father. I don't care. Is that all you have to say? I don't care. Then I'll eat you if I may. I don't care. So the lion ate Pierre. Arriving home at 6 o'clock, his parents had a dreadful shock. They found the lion sick in bed and cried, Pierre is surely dead. They pulled the lion by the hair. They hit him with a folding chair. His mother cried, where is Pierre? And the lion answered, I don't care. His father said, Pierre's in there. They rushed the lion into town. The doctor shook him up and down, and when the lion gave a roar, Pierre fell out upon the floor. He rubbed his eyes and scratched his head and laughed because he wasn't dead. His mother cried and held him tight. His father asked, are you all right? Pierre said, I am feeling fine. Please take me home. It's 9:30. The lion said, if you would care to ride on me, I'll take you there. Then everyone looked at Pierre, who shouted, Yes, indeed, I care. The lion took them home to rest and stayed on as a weekend guest. The moral of Pierre is care. The moral of Pierre, everybody, is care.